Hello. Okay, so we're back today. We're going to be talking about real quick today a subject that is really, really popular in America, not only in America but in the world. So, such a subject, obviously, I cannot cover. I need to position myself well here. I cannot cover in about 5 to 10 minutes. So, today we're going to talk about education, Ivy Leagues, universities, college, community college. I mean, I'm talking from kindergarten to elementary to high school, university graduation. What is that all about? Education, which is obviously it's a centuries old concept to where they want to put you in a system as you grow up in order to help you come up in society. They want you to learn about subjects that are going to open your mind, and you follow some subjects you're going to study, have some grades, get a degree, and therefore you're going to have chances to be able to be productive in society. And if you bring education to today, obviously the the university that you attend, the college that you go to, start to become a big deal in terms of even more so into the chances, your higher chances to actually get a good insertion and a good job, a good career in your life. So um, it's very interesting because today I want to talk about education again, not from an angle of its value. I'm very aware that obviously college and education and degree gives you the edge in the society, and when you start talking about the issues around the access to education and how many groups still struggle to have access to education, there's no question that it's valuable. It literally is the edge, makes some people make it out of a neighborhood or of a generation that have been otherwise, not in the best odds to making it in life. So definitely education is something very, very important from a perspective of kind of increasing your thinking, giving you perspective, studying, putting you in an environment to compete early, and then challenge your mind. Obviously, some of the subjects are where you have to think, write, communicate in writing and orally. So therefore, that's a very important thing. But again, my value always comes from, and this is one of the finance and money series continuing, but also a little bit on the line with personal development from education perspective. But it's also in the finance and money because that's the angle I really wanted to talk about. So when we talk about education and ROI, can't believe you talk about ROI with education, which is the return on investment with education. Um, to get a good education in this day and age, depending on what university you go to, can become very expensive. And therefore, my point today was to talk about how do you really weigh in the true value of what you got versus what if you get into loans and student loans and debt in order to get that education. What's really is that really worth it when you end up with 100,000, 150,000, 200,000, 250,000, 300? Believe it or not, the number keeps climbing. um, Therefore, you look back what you do today and what you earn and how much you owe in student loan, and you start to think, was it really worth it? It's not the education, it's the money that you had, the debt you have to get into in order to get an education. And therefore, it has to push us to be able to go back and, hindsight, looking back to 2020 and realize, was it really worth it? Again, the money versus the education. The education is always important and necessary, absolutely, no question about it. There's some jobs out there where they require you to have a certain degree, they require you to have a certain level of education, no question about it. But when you look at the money that you spent and the debt that's here today, hovering over your life and creating a stress to a degree in your lives, in our lives, because I have some of that too, um, you wonder, is there any other way to do it? This video is not to, obviously we're never going to put down education ever. Very important, my kids go to school, everybody, I went to that, I did that too. And I guess one of the point I wanted to get to is, if I could talk to the younger generation today, I would probably say get an education. But here's what I said. I said this in LinkedIn in one of my comments, and I think I quite had a few reaction to that. But I was saying that if you had to get an education today, if you could, try to avoid the student loan borrowing. And if you could do whatever you need to do to be able to pay your way to school. And I know a lot of people say, hey, if I had a choice, but I don't think really stop for a long time and truly look into other options and not getting student loans in order to get an education. Now, if you don't have a student loan, has to you, because you are starting off. You don't know, you probably don't know that now, but you're gonna find out in the later years when you look around and see how many people are, have that, and then get too much in the statistic, but it's in the trillions. The amount of student loans that are overall in the United States. So I just wanted to talk about that aspect of getting into debt for education. Education is great, but again, if you had to do it over, I will highly recommend pay your way to school. Do whatever you need to do to pay your way to school. 2 jobs, whatever on the side in order to pay your way. So if obviously the system is different in every corner of the world. I'm talking more about the system in the United States, because other countries don't even give the option to kids to go to school to go to school and have a job. So that's a different story, because if I want to talk about the system in Africa, for example, it's a totally different system, right? You stay with the parents, you go to school, that's all you do until you graduate. You graduate. Some of them even stay home until they find a job. So it's a different story back there. Maybe it's changing a little bit. I've been out, for a little while, but maybe it's changing a little bit. But predominantly, that's how it works back there. So back here, again, I wanted to put that out there because, again, when you look at that, really, when you weigh the cost of education, I was joking with my family. I said that if I could take my 2 degrees that I have today, could I really exchange them for the price of what I owe? Like, just here, take it back, just take just take it back, or take these 2 degrees and give me the money that I owe for it, so I can go pay for, so I can give it back, whatever. It just doesn't make sense to do that, right? Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to accept that. It's not kind of exchange or trade that is possible in this day and age. But when you look at that, you really look at those two minds, a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and possibly maybe a PhD. You have no idea, but right now it's a nightmare to think about that. But it's doable, obviously. But is it really, look at the price? But again, it gives you the edge, no question about it. And for those that are already into it, I don't have better news for you than to just hunker down. Those things can go for 25 to 30 years. Plans to pay your student loans back. It's a second mortgage. I think I was saying that it's a second mortgage, that when you look back, what's really the equity that you get on that mortgage, the educational mortgage, so to speak, quote unquote. When you look at the equity over the life, and how much do you really return. And again, it's not education. Again, it's the cost of it. Yeah, I'm for forging, do everything you can to get that degree, graduate, get that those advanced degrees or higher degrees. But again, we have to think about the cost of that. And I'll do everything with my kids, obviously, to give them the best leg up with those student loans. Is the best thing to do, to have the younger generation to avoid those loans as much as possible, because you don't think about it now, but depending on how much you take out and how far you go with them, they're going to be following you for a long time. Today I have a little high-tech thing here, so which I'm going to be able to cut the cut the video without having to reach out to the button. There's a lot of things. And again, so today I talked about education in a formal way. And my next video, I'm going to be talking about one of the real reasons why I started this channel. Is I want to talk about the personal development education, which is totally different education outside of your college degree, your college education. Now is the journey that you gain on your personal development, personal education, that you go look for the books and you go look for the you research and find a different way to look at education, educating yourself, and also learning about other people's, about society, and getting in depth into what is that other type of education, which is personal development. And I'll talk about it in my next video. Obviously, I'm gonna end by saying, hey, you know what? Brand new channel, but again, I'm here to add value. If you feel like this is something that maybe add a little bit of value, uh, again, you do what you need to do. If you like the video, you subscribe for new videos to be able to get them. And obviously, there's some notifications that you can play with YouTube to be able to get those things pop up and let you know when something new. But again, it's always nice to bring value. And again, I have a lot that I'm going to be talking about on this channel. I have a program here already on my computer with all the subjects I'm going to be talking about over the weeks, over the months. There's definitely no shortage of subject to talk about. So with that, I wish you guys a good day. If you're watching this during the weekend, I wish you a good weekend. And no matter what the time you're watching this, I hope you have a good rest of your day, good rest of your night, wherever you watch this. And I'll see you guys soon.